Welcome to Sew and Tell, where sewists from fashion, theater, and indie sewing bring their different perspectives to the hottest topics in the sewing community. I'm Amanda Carestio.
I'm Meg Healy.
And I'm Kate Zeinard. Today on the podcast, we are talking all about sewing spaces. How do we best utilize them, organize them, and everything in between. We will also cover some fall fabric tips and what's in our stash that we're sewing up for the new season. Then we'll each share a little something in our SewJo segment. Then we'll answer a listener question. But before we begin, how is everybody doing?
Doing okay. Feeling like slightly inspired to sew even.
Wow. Yes, that is always, that's always a nice feeling.
I'm still just getting over that it's like actually September.
Yeah. Happy National Sewing Month.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Happy National Sewing Month.
I love it. I love September.
I need to change my Fitbit face. I have one for sewing month.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's a little sewing machine. It's real cute. Yeah.
Oh.
That's awesome.
I don't even know how to. Yeah. I just have my rabbit as like all my little bubby is
totally legitimate.
That's your mascot, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. I was sewing all this morning. And so that was fun finishing up some stuff from filming. I tie-dyed my first fabric. Ooh. And I was sewing with it for an upcoming season of Style Revive, which was super fun. It turned out way better than I thought. So and now I feel like I'm just I just have like a really obsessive, and now I feel like I want to tie-dye everything. Like, yes, I have so many ideas now. I guess that's what happens.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, should we jump in?
Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
Let's jump into our sewing space.
You did it.
Or roll in. I always, yeah.
Yep.
I think we've talked about this before, but yeah, like the rolling chairs are always so good when you roll around to different machines and stuff.
Yes.
We call this place our favorite space in the home, but sometimes storage and organization can be an issue. Sewing uses so much more than just a machine. You need tools, patterns, notions, irons, and more. So let's discuss what works and what doesn't work in our own sewing spaces to make it more organized and functional. And I think we're all recording from our sewing spaces right now.
That's right. And yes. I'm glad you can only see a very small portion of it. Because I feel like when you're like, what does and what doesn't work? I was like, I feel like I've got a good example for doesn't for everything.
Yes.
It's a sad state, y'all. It's a sad state.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I desperately need to clean my sewing room. And I feel like I just did it.
Yes. They get messy so fast.
They do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have a pretty good habit of after every project, I totally clear it of everything that has pertained in that project. So I'm pretty good at that. But yeah, it's just, it gets messy quick. And which is why organization is super key. And so I want to kick it off by just saying what is just the most annoying thing to store and organize in your studio? Just you always need it, but it's just it could be a weird shape. It's just hard to organize it. What is the most annoying thing?
I have two. Can I start?
Yes.
One is my
you go ahead.
Scraps.
Yes.
No matter, I have them in a laundry bin actually, so they're out and visible, which I think is part of the problem. But every once every 6 months, I try to go through them and let go of some, but they just they're overwhelming, and I never know what to do with them. The other thing is printed and tiled PDF patterns. I still have not figured out what to do with those. And I don't want to roll them or fold them. So they're sitting in a flat stack on the floor and just collecting thread, collecting dead spiders. They're just, I have not figured out how to do it. I've thought about doing the hanger approach, but I have just not invested in it. So yeah, those are my two. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah. Mine is straight up fabric because there's just never enough space for all the fabric I have. My sewing room's very small. I can't imitate Meg and have giant tubs because there's no place to put the giant tubs. So it's always okay, where can I put this? Where can I get this out of the way? And also I have a storage problem right now with thread. Simply because I have more than my thread racks will hold. And I have a new thread rack, but I don't have a good wall space to put it on. So I'm still trying to figure out where to put this empty thread rack so that I can put all my extra thread on it. So those are my big challenges, I think.
Ooh, I did think of one when you were talking serger cones.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
serger
fit
cone.
on thread racks. I've got a basket for mine. It's not efficient. Sorry, just wanted to chime in.
No problem at all. I actually have a thread rack that specifically got the long dowels for the cone thread, and then my new one also has long dowels. So once I get it up, the cone thread that does not currently fit on the one I have can go on there. I'm hoping to split it between serger thread and regular thread if I ever find somewhere to put it.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, I think I've resorted. Yeah, and my serger threads are like lined up at my windowsill, and like I'm like they're decoration. But yes, thread is definitely like serger cone, especially thread is one of mine. But my most annoying thing, and I realize this is a privileged. I am privileged to have this problem, but machines. It's the most annoying thing to organize and store because. Yeah, because I can't like stack them. I can't. It's just they're just annoying to store. And when I want to swap, like I wish I could just have all the tape. Like I wish I could just have them all out. Like hopefully, I mean I am moving, so in my new sewing space, I will try it, but I still think I'll run into that big of an issue because I have lots of machines. So that's the most annoying thing for me to store. Oh,
I'm slowly joining you there. I've got quite a collection in my little home sewing space.
Yeah. All right. So I think I know the answer for Amanda, but does your sewing space, like storage and kind of utilization, function like fully as you need it to as of right now?
I think mine functions, and that's part of the problem. Like if it didn't function, I might be inspired to try to change it up.
Oh, but that's true.
It functions, but at this point, it's not a space I really want to be in. So I guess in that way, it's not super functional. I just need to spend some time in it. And I think there are some other things I could try, some different layouts. It's not the thing that I want to spend my sewing time doing, which is the problem.
Definitely.
How about you, Kate?
I think mine, like you said, it kind of functions because I kind of make it function.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But so my great shame is that my sewing space is also our spare bed, basically our guest room, and it's a tiny room, and so it's only got a twin bed on it. But as you can imagine, that twin bed is piled up a foot high with sewing crap. because it's like, I don't know where to put this. Okay, toss it on the bed. I'll figure it out later. Except I never do. So it just keeps getting higher and higher. So you can't use the room as a guest room. And also, I do not feel good about the fact that I just have a flat bed-size space that is just sort of a catch-all for everything. So that is not functional the way I want it to be functional. I'm not exactly sure what the solution is. So Maybe you guys can give me some ideas as we talk through this.
Yeah, I feel like mine, it does, yeah, definitely fully functions as I need it to be. But yeah, just not like, there's just a lot, I can't do there's lots of moving in between like sets. So I do a lot of filming in my studio too. So I can't just like, all right, I'm just going to quickly film. I need to like rearrange because now I have my computer like desk in here as well because I want to be near the window. So it's like, I wish I could just have like a permanent film like setup. So if I wanted to just like jump on and film something, then I could just do that instead of moving everything out of the way. But I guess that would be my only thing. But I feel it functions pretty well. And let's just go into just one thing. If you could change just one thing about your sewing studio space, what would it be?
I would have better natural light. I'm in a lower level, and I've got 2 windows, and I feel also incredibly privileged to have a space that can function solely as a creative spot for me. I really feel so lucky. But I also sew a lot of black fabric, and doing that when the light isn't terrific is definitely a challenge. I did once sew like a whole black garment with dark green thread because of it and didn't realize it until the very end. It was very subtle, and I decided it was a design feature. But I feel like, during the day it's okay, but I tend to sew more at night. So it's definitely, the lighting is not ideal.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Well, for me, I would like to have that privilege of having this space be only my sewing space. If I could, I think I've mentioned before that I have an embroidery machine and a serger, neither of which live in my sewing space because there's no room for them in here. So if I could get rid of that bed, then I would have some more room for some tables for the other machines and maybe some better storage solutions, that sort of thing. But there's really no other place in the house that we can put that. So it is what it is right now. How about you, Meg?
I'm just trying to, ironically, the one thing I would change is like I could have like a wall. So I wouldn't have to have my bunny, Billy, the little bunny, is a studio just chomper. Like he is like, if I could just exclude, I've lost 2 irons and he's chewed through 2 iron cords. He's chewed my sewing books, like my textbooks, all from school. Like I have them on a shelf, and like the faces are all torn off of. I just need a wall so I can bunny proof it when I like. That's my only thing that I would change for sure. Oh my gosh. But I guess it kind of keeps me neat because everything needs to be like off the floor. So I don't have like piles of stuff on the floor, which actually makes it look more neat all the time. And that's why I always have to like, I can't like leave my iron out now. I have to like wrap the cord and tuck it away, or else I'll have a little iron eater charging around. Oh my gosh, the funniest thing. I was filming last week, and it was an episode kind of on fixing some accessories, like upcycling if like a pet has chewed them. So I did this whole like shoe upgrade, and then guess who chews like the upgrade again?
Oh,
This morning I was like, no.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, well, I guess I have to camouflage that again. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so funny. But it's just, you just look at that little bunny face and you just forget like about all that stuff. Oh, it's just so funny. Oh, I know.
Definitely same is true for kids. And I definitely have some sneaky kids who like I should
chew through your iron cord.
Yeah, there's none of that. I wouldn't put it past them. But they like to steal my pattern weights. Like I can only find one of my little the ball ones with the little beads in it because they're just too tempting.
Oh.
And they like to play with them. And so occasionally they'll drift out to other areas in the house. But I think I've taught them about the scissor thing. Like, I've hammered it home enough times. Like, do not use my scissors for anything. But it's a slow process. But they're cute.
And that's what's important.
And that's what is. I know those little sack things
Yes.
are. I love them so much. Like, I
Yes.
always try and juggle them when they're so cute.
They're a good thing to fiddle with for sure.
Oh, yeah. They're very satisfying to just kind of feel in your hands.
Yeah, I can't blame them.
Do any of us, I don't think I do, but like a sewing specific furniture. Do any of us have one that it's like it's meant to be like hold a sewing machine, or it's meant to be a piece of furniture to like organize like a thread cabinet or a specific like do any of us have any of those specific sewing furniture pieces?
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, my sewing machine, my standard Singer, my basic one that I inherited from my mom. When she got it, she got a table with it that it drops down into, folds over, and then you put the little thing on top. That's where I'm recording from right now. Actually, my sewing machine. If I lift my knee, I can bang it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just hovering above my knees, and it's got a little cabin, like a little cubby to the side of where the machine goes. So it's nice because it's a flat table. It fits in there, and it has a little plastic piece that slides in so that the whole bed is flat, and it's really nice to work with. I kind of love it.
I don't have anything sewing specific, but the furniture that I do have is really special to me because I got it right after I graduated from college. So I've been using them now for about 20 years. And I refinished both of them to create a little set. One is I have all of my like quilting cottons in a 3-drawer, like a short chest. And then my desk is it's old, just kind of a pretty basic shape. But I painted them to match each other. So they kind of have a set, like the outer is kind of white. And then the drawers are like this mint green. And they've just always been my like fabric storage and sewing table. And they're really special to me. And they function pretty well, actually. The drawers for fabric storage is not great. It's stuff that I probably won't be using very often. It's for more like the B storage option, stuff that the deeper storage where I don't need to actually access it too often. But yeah, it's very special to me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I know. That's like on my number one top of my wish list. I want one of those like folding cabinets where it just kind of all like folds away, so I can just like put another machine on top of it.
Yeah.
And like store like some of those like annoying little things. Yeah, and I really want my cutting table right now is like from my dad used to own like a catering company. And so it's like a baker's table. It's like the stainless steel, like baker's table. But I mean, it functions, but it'd be nice to have. Yeah. But it'd be nice to have some sort of like a cutting table that's more like it has more specific, storage for like a bolts of fabric and like, I don't know, like that would be kind of nice. So that's just like always been on my wish list to have like a really packable away almost studio. I don't know. I'm just going with leads me into my next question. Like for ourselves, like do we like to have, including fabrics and tools and everything, things tucked away or things open on the walls? Like I here like have like a little pegboard with my rotary cutters, and I I got all my fabric out and folded because when they were in a bin, you just never know what you have. Like I
Yeah.
just feel like I'm more likely to sew and use something if I can see it on a wall. I know. So I feel like I'm like contradicting. I'm like, I want my sewing machines to be packed away, but I want all like my fabrics and kind of like reachable tools to be out. What's your take on things? Do you like things out and reachable or tucked away and neat?
I'd say by default, my mode is out and reachable because I'm not currently putting anything away. But I agree with the fabric. And I have the fabric that I'm actually like my garment fabric is more in a bookshelf scenario. And I've kind of got a section for like what I'm going to sew next. And then I've got a woven section and a knits section. But I have outgrown it. So I definitely have little piles around here and there, and I could do with go through it with a really honest look and get rid of some things. But I definitely like having it out. I feel like I'd forget about it, and even when it's out, I forget about it. So I think that's more my mode. Yeah, because you just, like I could spend some time reorganizing it. And I think I actually am going to do that because I'm everything that was in my sew it soon category was more summer weight. So I think I'm going to go through and like pull out what I've got for fall and winter from my stash and give them a little spot.
How about you, Kate?
I kind of go both ways. If I use it often, I like it out. And if I don't use it as often, I like it put away. And there's some kind of wiggle room in there. But I have in this room, one of the things I love about it is it's got on two of the walls, it's got kind of a half wall with with like a 4 or 5 inch shelf that runs around two of the walls. And so I can put a whole lot of stuff on there. I have my CD player from 1993 in case I want to listen to CDs. I also have a Bluetooth speaker now. But then I have, a box where I keep my seam rippers, and I have my basting spray, and I've got a little jar that I keep my my labels in that's got a pin cushion on top, and then all of my rulers and my scissors, and I'm kind of looking around my pens, my and my various marking tools and my pin cushions and my pins. And so all of those things are kind of within easy reach as I'm sitting here. If I need a seam ripper, I just have to reach. And if I, need a different type of pin, I just have to reach. And my machine feet sit up here too. So if I need to change feet, it's just right there. But then, for example, my rotary cutters, except for one that I'm using, which is usually sitting on the cutting table, those go in a little Tupperware container. I've got a set of shelves that are right above the sewing machine. And some of that is notions like that. Thing full of extra scissors and rotary cutters. And I also have all of my embroidery thread in boxes up there because that's an entirely different kind of thread that I have to store somewhere.
Oh my gosh. I know.
But then the rest of it is fabric that's kind of on the more likely to use range. And then I've got some tubs that go under the bed that have the less likely to use fabric. And then another set of shelves over by the window that have some stuff up there that's marks for projects that he wants to do, and all of my sparkly fabric has its own little space up there. And so much of it is out and easily accessible, and a little bit of it is tucked away. And then there's the bed where I have to go rooting through the pile of stuff looking for that.
This episode is going to be so dangerous because I mean,
know.
in the best way, because I'm like, I am really lacking in shelves in my sewing space. Like, I am totally, I'm going to do that. That would solve so many issues for me. Moving on. Just saying.
That doesn't
Kate,
sound
are you
dangerous.
scared?
That sounds helpful.
No, I think it's
Oh
helpful.
yeah. Kate, are you worried about eventually, like when you have a guest in, like a pin, like at least one pin will be in? Be like,
Oh, yes. Yes, if I ever have anybody sleep over here, I'm going to have to vacuum like 16 times. Yep.
Oh,
But
do
I'm
you know
pretty
that?
good at not dropping them or picking them up when I do.
Oh, I'm really bad at dropping them. I'm always like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
They're
I use
always
the ones
around.
with the big decorative heads, usually the big flat decorative heads. So they're pretty easy to spot.
They're easy to see.
They don't
Yeah.
disappear the way the flathead pins do.
Yeah, I feel like for pins too, you can never have just like one bin for pins. Like I need like 3. You need one where you like, because I don't pin my fabric like where I'm sewing it. But then if I have my pin cushion, like I have like a magnetic holder, I need that on my kind of cut because I lay everything out, pin everything, then I take it over to my machine, and then 90% of the time I leave it there. And then I need, when I'm taking I have like this other little box for collecting pins. And then it's like, then that one's empty over there, but it's all my and so then I have to, it's just like, I always need so many places for like pin collection.
I have 2 magnetic holders for that very reason. Like one in my cutting space and one in my sewing space.
Yeah.
I
know. I'm just always worried. I think I've had a guest on in the past that kind of debunked this myth, or maybe not. I'm just worried about magnetic pin cushions next to my like computer sewing machine. I don't think they're like, I don't know, because mine's pretty strong. When I put it on my steel table, it's like I need to like really like lift it up. It's
That's
pretty
impressive.
stuck there. It's like,
yeah,
I know.
You know what you need to get, Meg? You need to get some nice strong magnets, and then you don't even need pattern weights. You just use magnets.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, because then they stick to the table underneath. Oh my gosh, that's so smart.
I mean, don't give me too much. Don't give me too much credit because I have a magnetic cutting board and a set of magnets that I use instead of pattern weights when I'm using that board. So it was right there in my head because that's one of the things that I do when I cut.
Nah, you're a genius.
Oh yeah, I'm a genius. But make sure they have some loft so you can get your fingers around them. Because if they're too strong, then you sit there and you're trying to pry them up and it's a pain.
You know, I never ever thought about that, like using mag, and it kind of just like, so it's like the fabric's a little sandwich in between the table and the
holds the pattern and the fabric down to the table.
Yeah, that would be coming so handy for like when you're cutting like really lightweight stuff. It's sometimes it's like so shifty when oh my gosh, I always learn something.
Unfortunately, that's probably not a widely usable tip because I bet most of our listeners don't have steel cutting tables. But you never know.
A baker's table, and it was actually also used that was the bar at our wedding, and now it was a baker's table, then it was the bar, and now it's my cutting table.
Aww, I love that.
Yeah. And it's being on wheels is like amazing too.
That's a good
because sometimes
idea.
I like to when I'm cutting something out, I need to be able to walk around the entirety of the table too. Like I find like in sewing spaces, having things on wheels is really key for me because it's although it's like open to our loft, it's like the section's really tiny. So I'm always like shifting things out and moving for like, even when I'm getting pictures, like angles, like near the window or away. And if things don't have wheels, I do put those little felt pads on. So I just always sliding things in and out. And so that's always a good, I guess that would be one of my tips.
That's a great tip.
Yes, it is.
This would be one of my tips. And also another, I know, let's just go into that. Let's just say, what are some of our just best space organization tips? I'll just jump in with my one, and it's having a extension cord, like, from the ceiling, like coming down in the center too. Cause sometimes when I'm like, if I need a table in the center and setting up a separate machine or an iron or using an extra plug, it's retractable. I just ordered it on Amazon and I just if I'm not finding an outlet, if I'm using something else, I can just reach it down from the ceiling and then sling it back up. That's a
great tip.
all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even for extra lights and stuff, like a lot of things with sewing that you just need so many outlets. I find I'm always running, you know, if you have your computer in there and you're charging your phone and you're, you know, so many things. So I love having an outlet really accessible.
Yeah, that's especially in your space because it's so open.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I can't think of any great
I have
organizational
no tips. I was just looking around my room and I'm like, no, that's not great. That's not great.
I mean, I find little baskets sometimes. Like I have got a basket over there which has kind of supposed to be kind of a catch-all for embroidery stuff that goes with the embroidery machine, and that came from the dollar store. And I've got some old mugs that somebody gave me that I use to keep my pens and marking tools and scissors and stuff in. But I mean, none of that is like groundbreaking. That's like a basic organizational information there.
I did make my own thread spool holder. You guys can kind of see it, and maybe I probably have a good picture somewhere.
I always look at it.
It's I just took a piece of wood and hammered some nails partially in and then spray painted the whole thing. And at the bottom, I've got things spaced out a little bit more, a little bit further apart for scissors and my rotary cutters. And that thing, I've been using it for like 10 years now. And I'm mostly outgrown the number of spots for thread, but I guess that's the one place where I will, if I know I'm not going to use it, I won't put it on there. I'll put it away somewhere. So those are my most used threads. And that's been really handy over the years. You know, it's just a nice thing, a DIY option.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think. The best tool that I bought this year for my sewing studio was this, like, you can see it back there. It's a tiny vacuum, and it also does like a blower as well. So you can switch the mode to tiny vacuum or like tiny, like like a dust blaster thing, because I hate when, you know, always buying those reusable cans, but then it has it so I can actually now like vacuum out my little threads, and it even go on the floor, and like when I'm cutting fluffy stuff, it's just a quick vacuum, so I'm not having to get out like the big vacuum. But I have used that so much. I guess that's not really organizational, but it's just like it's been such a huge help, just having this quick, like, little tiny vacuum, like just accessible to me.
That's smart.
No, definitely. I don't think, even if your studio is completely organized, if it's covered with minky fluff, it's not going to feel right. And on that note, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I save my thread ends to stuff pin cushions with, or partially.
I remember you saying that. Such a good idea.
And so what I do is I have a mug, and I put a plastic Ziploc baggie in it and then turn down the ends. And then I just put all my thread ends in there. And when it just gets overly full, I can just lift it up and zip the baggie closed and put a new one in there. So it's a pretty easy, it kind of keeps the thread ends all in place because I'm not tempted to drop them on the floor. And then it's a pretty easy way to get them up and ready to use for something.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I remember you telling that tip, and that is and like, I just forgot about it. So I'm like, I should have that like by my, but I'm just such in a habit of I just throw it on the floor and then I deal with it later.
Me too.
Well, and my little room here is carpeted, so I don't want to have to deal with it tangling up. Like if it was a space I could sweep, I wouldn't worry about it so much. But because it's a space that, you know, the threads are just going to get tangled around the vacuum, and terrible if I try to vacuum them up. So I might as well just keep them in control when I'm working with them.
They also, for me, because of my wheeled chair, it's like, if I look at the wheels in my chair, it's like a carnival. It has threads in there.
Memory lane, right?
It's like, I haven't sewn with that thread in years.
I did do that in the fall last year. I went through and took my wheels off and took everything apart and really tried to clean them out because like one of my wheels wasn't rolling anymore.
Oh yeah, that's what happens.
That's what happens. Yep.
That's what happens. Oh, I just want to also start to close it out with saying what sort of, I mean, we're sewers, we're creative people. And I feel like as an inspiring space is also, it can be important to a sewer. So what are our like favorite decorations or things of inspiration that we have in our studio that don't really function as anything, but just make like decorating your sewing space where you sew?
I don't have a whole lot, but you guys can see them back there. I think it was in December or November of last year when we did our holiday social, and I hung up some Christmas lights that are actually thread spools, and I left those up.
I love those
because they're kind of cheerful and they're not super holiday or anything, but that's definitely one of my main just because items. And I have a few things that I've made over the years. But I'm due for a refresh. I think I could change out the art.
Yeah.
Maybe get a plant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I mentioned, I am struggling to find room to put a thread spool holder. And I got a lot of shelves on these walls. So I don't have a lot of decoration, but I do have a cabinet behind me. You might be able to see a little bit of it. I'm not sure. Behind my blanket fort over here, that is actually used to store some stuff that has nothing to do with sewing at all whatsoever. It's got like all of our vases in it and some china I inherited from some various people, and all of my soaping supplies from when I made soap, which I haven't done for a while, mostly because that space is now currently filled with an embroidery machine. And on top of that, I've got some decorative plates that one of them's part of a china set that I have. One of them was, I think, a gift for our wedding. Couple of them are just things that I picked up somewhere or somebody gave me. I can't remember, but they're kind of a fashion plate kind of look. And I have them up there, and possibly some of the vases that don't fit into the cabinet are up there. So it's not highly decorative, but it's not terrible, and they kind of make me happy hanging out back there.
What about you, Meg?
I have so many fake plants. I'm looking at, there's one on my desk. It's fake. I have a fake flowers. These are fake. I have a huge fake palm plant right there, and I have another fake fern right there. And so I guess I've just accumulated a lot of fake plants. I guess
honestly,
they really inspire me.
It's the best way to keep them healthy.
You know what?
Yeah.
I forgot that in the other side of our loft, I have a real plant, and I can't remember the last time I put an ice cube in it. So I'm probably going to do that after. So fake plants just really get me through because I look at them. They never wilt. They're just always going to be there and in their best shape.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, definitely not.
I like it.
Oh,
I like it.
Even this one, it has like fake water, and it's like you touch it and it's like jelly. And it just makes me happy. So fake plants are really, really what inspire my decor.
Hey,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Meg.
Oh, no. I honestly forgot what I was going to say.
I was just going to say before we end this conversation, I wanted to talk a little bit about dream sewing spaces because I have been campaigning with my husband. I probably mentioned this on the podcast before, for a separate studio space. We have some room in our backyard. We could build a little separate studio building.
Oh my
and
gosh.
we've wood prices are pretty high right now. I think all supply prices are pretty high. So it might be something that we have to put off for another year. But we looked into it. It's not terrible. I feel like it would be really nice to have a separate space with like some big French doors, better lighting, separate from the house. So I'm still campaigning. And we'll see where I get, but that is my dream. What about you guys?
I would like to have a bigger room that was just for sewing and maybe crafting. Like maybe I could add some of my other crafting things in there if I had, all that space. But I would love to be able to have somewhere where my embroidery machine is always out and my serger is always out, and I can do what Meg does and just roll between them instead of having to actually go and get my serger out and every time I need to serge anything. And I think that's my starting place is I just want a bigger space that I don't have to share with another use.
I mean, there's also the option of like renting a space. And I know several sewists online. I think that, if it was part of your business or you were blogging and there was a business angle for you, like maybe having a separate studio space really makes sense. So you could like transition into work mode. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that would be mine. I think dream space would be to like go somewhere else, like outside the home. Either like Amanda, what you're describing, or like renting like a separate studio. So it's like I like working from home for so long, just like having a like division and like being able to wait, like just getting out. But yeah, just like a room as of like my short-term dream sewing goals are just to have like a dedicated room with a door so I can, when I'm done work or sewing, shut the door and just like kind of enjoy just like have a little bit more separation. Because right now, like I can lay in bed and like look at my pile of fabric and like oh, like I could do though I still need to sew those and like So,
I mean,
it can be a lot. So
there are so many like unique co-op spaces for artists now, and even like I feel like there's a lot of options that it doesn't have to be something that's a super huge investment for you. It feels more doable than it used to have a separate space to rent or great. That was
there's
fun.
Another, I know there's a there's another, maybe you should, I'm not sure about what the resources are in Colorado, but there's a company in Toronto called Giant Containers, and they take shipping containers and turn them into cool office studio spaces, and people put them in their backyard, and so it's not like the wood, but they are so cool. Like that's kind of like our dream too, is to have like, and you can even like stack, we were talking about like we could get them in a backyard and like stack them so Julian could have his space and my space. Yeah, but the idea of like a separate even like entrance from outside to a studio is just like so amazing.
Dreamy. Yeah. Well, y'all know I want a yurt. I want a sewing yurt.
A yurt. Yes.
But I will settle like those, they're pretty pricey. I would settle for like a prefab studio space that someone could put together in my backyard. Maybe someday. We can dream.
Yeah.
Yes, we can always dream.
We can dream. Yeah. But that being said, too, all you like, this is just, you really only need a table and your dining room table if you want. Yeah. Especially if you're just getting started sewing. You don't need a permanent setup. Like it's, you really can, just have a dining room table. You can function as you cut out your fabric and you bring out your machine. And there are really cool, like, I was looking into it, even like fold away, like it's almost like a Murphy bed for a stick, like the desk folds down, you can store, like there are so many cool, like small station things. But yeah, I do kind of just dream of that too, just like in a small space. But I just have too much stuff. The amount of sewing that I do. But yeah, you don't need all the space, but if you have the luxury of having a dedicated space, it's nice to make it functional and inspiring and all all that fun stuff. So
Yeah.
it's always just fun to talk about too.
Yep. I'm totally going to like redo my space after this.
All right, let's take a break and then we'll jump back in with a little bit of fall fabrics. Woo!
Okay, if there's anything that is going to get me finally excited about fall this year, it's going to be the fabrics. That's what keeps me going. And I feel like there's a lot of us who fall into that category. So, Meg and Kate, what fall fabrics are inspiring you this year?
Well, I'm still really liking that. I can't remember what the trend was actually called, but the kind of drapey, capey blanket wrapped around you kind of trend. So the things that are really kind of calling out to me are the things that kind of bring to mind sort of blankets, like some of the light wools, flannels, fleeces, that sort of stuff that you just kind of want to drape over yourself and go strutting out to, I don't know, pick a pumpkin or something.
Pick a pumpkin.
Yeah. We actually have a pumpkin farm not far from our house, so that's not as weird as it sounds.
Oh, yeah. Mine is just everything like velour and velvet. I made like a set, but it's like kind of a summer velour set. So it's like capris and a t-shirt, but it's like striped green velour. And I love it. And I have all this lime green velour. I just want to make matching velour sets all fall. And waffle knits too. I'm super into waffle knits this year. I'm just really excited for knit. I'm doing all my fall fabrics are all really like knits this year. I can't think of like a woven fall fabric that except like I have a kind of I'm trying to look at my stash right now. Like it's like a thicker like denim-y type thing I want to make a pair of pants out of, but that's about it.
I too feel like as soon as fall and winter are on the horizon, I think more about knits. More cozy things. I've got a few rib knits on my list.
Oh, rib knits.
And definitely like waffle knits. I love waffle knits. I feel like they're not always super sexy. They kind of have that like a little bit athletic, a little bit, maybe there's a masculine vibe because they remind me of like thermal underwear. But I love them. I love the texture. I just picked up some flannel and it's still super hot here in Colorado. So I kind of surprised myself. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to get me in the fall zone. I think I'm going to make a shirt with it. And then we did our fall issue of So News was all about denim. And in doing that issue, I just realized like I really do love denim. And I do think, it's kind of an all year round fabric, especially because there are so many weights. But in the fall and winter is when I definitely think about maybe making another pair of jeans, which is on my list, overalls, and denim. There's so much variety. You can do stripes, there are different colors. It's really lovely to work with, I find. And I love it. I love denim. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, denim.
All right. Well, if you have to pick a favorite from one that we have talked about already, please do. And then can you guys, like, what are your tips for fall fabrics? Because I feel like, maybe fall and winter is not the best time to sew the best fabric in the world, which is linen. And it's also so easy. Some of those fall fabrics can be a little tricky. So for denim, one thing that I'm sure I read it in project instructions at some point, but my top tip for denim is to just hammer it. Like when you're dealing with those big layers, hammer them down and it softens the denim a little bit, and it can also thin it out if you've got like a really bulky area around your waistband. If you just hammer it a little bit, it'll kind of, you don't want to go overboard because you'll change the color of the fabric. kind of breaks down the fabric a little bit. But if you're going to do, a button fly, hammer that fly down, get it nice and flat before you put it under your machine.
Oh.
You can hammer like a thicker area on the hem, just hammer it down, and then you have less of a bulky seam to go over. Someone out there somewhere is probably cringing because they don't want to hammer things like fabric, but I find that it's super helpful, especially with bulky seams, bulky areas where you still need to get in and do some sewing. So yeah, bring out the hammer.
You just like literally just hammer the fabric, like the seam.
I just hammer it. I do.
Like just hammer it.
Yeah, just hammer it. Like before
That's
you,
so cool.
Like especially the waistband. Like if you're going to do like a jeans button where you hammer it in, I do a little bit of pre-hammering just to make sure all those layers are laying flat. And it's
that's so cool.
Yeah, I just feel like it helps. I also hammer my button loops before I attach them because you make those button loops and then you fold them under. Idea. And then you have to stitch across that, and they're super. You press them, but they can still be pretty bulky. So I just hammer both ends before I sew them in place. So yeah, give it a try.
Interesting.
That's a really good tip. I didn't even I have a hammer in my studio for when, I'm doing grommets and stuff, but I never thought to just like hammer a belt because that is like on jeans. Like when you have that, it's so many layers of that denim. I'm so going to utilize that one. That's a great tip, Amanda.
Thanks. And it's therapeutic,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I am going to pick for my favorite. I actually love working with flannel. And it's so cozy, and I love to make my favorite patterns out of it. But my tip is not nearly as useful. No, it is useful. It's not as interesting. Pre-wash flannel, pre-wash it hot, dry it hot, because cotton flannel will shrink. And if you're using other types of flannel, I don't know why you would use polyester flannel. That one won't shrink. But if you're using wool, well, look at the instructions on that one. But definitely make sure to pre-wash because you're going to lose some size on your flannel. And if you do it after you've sewn your garment is going to be too small. So make sure you do it when it's still just flat fabric. And you may need to add a little bit of yardage just to be sure.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. I wonder why that is. Is it just because of the weave of flannel? It just kind of contracts?
I'm not sure, honestly, because certainly I work with quilting cotton sometimes too, and I don't have that much trouble with it. But flannel really shrinks aggressively. So I wish I knew the answer to that question. Sorry.
Well, that just let me know that I won't be getting any flannel.
Yeah, I'm going to take this new flannel I just bought and go wash it.
Yeah, you can go wash it. Trying to think of my tip. I guess my tip, I really like sewing a lot with like more high pile fabrics, like even like minky. I like to sew like sweaters and minky. I like that luxurious look, and I just think really going for it with your walking foot. Just install your walking foot for those. Like when I filmed an episode of Style Revive, and I was kind of doing my first like actual quilt with minky. I installed a walking foot, and it was so much easier to sew with. So I guess just put on that walking foot.
I love that. That's a great tip.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you hammer it on.
Yeah, exactly. Be really gentle and then just hammer it. Well, thanks. I think I'm getting there, y'all. I think I'm feeling the inspo.
Yeah. Are you? Well,
I am.
If you're feeling the inspo, let's jump into our SewJo segment. That was really smooth, you guys. This is where we talk about what is inspiring us and our sewing. So, Meg, why don't you start us off?
Well, I don't know. That's a good. I'm just kind of like in between things. I've just been lots of stuff has been going on, kind of like outside sewing. So I haven't really thought about sewing too much. I think I am a little bit just kind of getting ready to sew for fall. I actually have a Penrose blouse that I have cut out that I want to sew. So I guess that's kind of. I just need to finish. I have Pietra pants and a Penrose blouse that match. And so that's kind of like I just kind of restricted myself on any more like summer things to cut. So I'll finish those. And then I'm kind of I'm getting excited for fall. Like I really am. Kind of some fall cozy sewing too. So, but I did make, I finally cut and made the Helen's Closet Reynolds dress, like the maxi version. Obsessed with it, and I really want to make another one because you could so wear it for fall too. Like I'm picturing it over like a turtleneck, like the long hemline. I think with boots would be super cute. So I'm excited about playing around with that pattern for fall. So I guess I had a lot of SewJo.
Yeah,
that's a lot of SewJo.
I don't want to sew.
I love that.
How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm slowly coming around, but I think before I really hop into fall, I've got a few more things to finish up. We have our new collection of beginner-friendly patterns coming out on the SewDaily.com website. And in that is a new t-shirt pattern that I just realized I've made 4 of them already, and I'm working on another one. And then I feel like Instagram knows me so well, and I keep getting these Instagram story ads that are just kind of amazing. And I shared what this was with Meg yesterday, and it's another hack idea for this t-shirt that involves fringe. And I don't know who I am anymore, but I'm going to try this hack with some fringe on this new t-shirt called the Trinchera t-shirt. And it's a cropped t-shirt, but I don't know. I've already made 4. It's kind of become a very quick TNT for me. So yeah, fringe is next.
Okay. Well, I'm still kind of off my actual sewing with a machine at the moment. I did just finish up a spate of masks because, as I was mentioning to my co-hosts earlier before we started recording, I'm going to an anime convention this weekend. I'm sure I've mentioned it before. I work it every year. And so we're doing a mask mandate this year to keep everybody nice and safe. And so I made several anime-themed masks, which I'm excited to wear. But also earlier this week, I had a sudden urge to go down to my sewing room and start sewing. I didn't, but I had the urge. And the urge was to make a Trina blouse. Last year, I made a Trina dress, and I kind of love it, but I don't wear dresses around very much. So I want to make a blouse version, and last year, I think like in November, we did a second Sew Your Roll, which I never actually made. So what I rolled was purple print and a bow. And so this particular fabric that I already picked up for this will fulfill that Sew Your Roll. So we'll see if I actually get around to doing that. I'm kind of feeling like it might be my thing.
So exciting.
Yeah, I just have to remind myself with by Victory Patterns, the Trina, it's such a beautiful pattern.
It really is. I really love the kind of kimono look that it has. And probably because I'm headed to that anime convention is part of the reason I'm kind of feeling it today. But I know I'm going to have a lot of inspiration in front of me because people have had 2 years to work on their cosplays. So they should be pretty spectacular this year. Can't wait to see them. All right, let's jump over to our Sew and Tell segment. We have a listener question today that is, what's one pattern in your stash that you haven't sewn and why? Meg, why don't you start us off?
It's the, what's the one? It's the Kielo, I believe. It's like the wrap, the jumpsuit, and it has a dress version. I think it's the Kielo by Named.
Yes,
Let me just.
that's right.
Yeah. I've wanted to make I have it like all like printed. I don't know why, but I think it's a good fall one because it has a long sleeve and like long. So maybe it's been too hot. That's why.
Yeah.
But I love that pattern. So I've been wanting to make it for so long. And so I have it printed out and I just too hot.
I think I have a couple, actually. If I really looked in my pattern, especially those digital patterns, I feel like they can hide out.
Oh, yeah.
And you can forget about them and sometimes buy them again. But I printed out and I tiled the Archer shirt by Grainline Studio.
Yeah.
And it's a great collared shirt. And I was super excited to make a couple. And then I didn't because I think there was another button-up shirt pattern that I had. And right at that same time, the sleeve expansion pack was released. So I made that instead. But I think maybe for this flannel, I can go back to that Archer shirt and use it. I'm thinking something kind of oversized, so maybe I'll size up. But that's such a great pattern. It's been around for a while. People love it. It's a great classic, and I don't know why. It's just been sitting there waiting for me.
Well, I have a large range of costume patterns that I pick up on impulse that I don't actually sew, mostly because they require like 7 yards of fabric and that sort of thing. But the not costume pattern that pops into my head is actually the Penrose blouse. I've been meaning to make it. I love it. I'm sure it's great. I just haven't gotten there since the weather's been right. I haven't been very inspired to sew this year, especially this summer, and it hasn't happened yet. But I don't know. That one has a kind of mid sleeve, right?
Well,
let me tell you about sleeves.
Talk to Meg about the sleeves.
Meg, tell me about the sleeves.
My favorite way to make the Penrose is I did like a sleeve expansion pack. It's available. I think it's available at on the Husqvarna Viking blog as a special expansion, but it's elasticated at the wrist and it creates such a beautiful silhouette with the gathers. It has added gathers at the crown. Like the Penrose, it doesn't have gathers physically along the sleeve, but the expansion does, and it's like I like it better than not the best. I really like it. I guess for fall too. Yeah,
yeah. It really so totally do that for fall.
Totally. I think the sleeve like balances out the length of the blouse in some magical way. And that with the square neckline, I have made a sleeved option and I cannot wait to wear it again.
All right. Well, I am feeling quite a bit more inspired to undertake that project.
Go.
I will put it on my list.
Put it on the list. I did start a fall list, so I'm on my way.
I need to start a fall list.
Oh, I need to do a fall list too.
I've got one in my head, but I need to write it down so it actually happens.
Right. Right. Well, that was a really fun episode, you guys. My sewing space needs some love, and I feel like that might be the thing to actually get me to spend some time in here. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah, me too. If nothing else, we're getting our windows replaced and we need to make access to the windows. So I need to make sure that bed gets cleaned off as a first step to that. So gotta do it.
Yeah, I know this is a good episode to get me thinking. We're going to be moving because our lofts, our entire loft building, it's really sad. It's getting torn down for for development, and tons of artists are losing their creative loft space. And so we're, within the looming future. So we're going to be moving. So I'm kind of like so excited to just have like a blank slate, and like I will be able to just like have a different space to set up. So I really want to start from scratch and really make it fun, and really like everything I want to be like intentionally placed and like, so I'm really excited about that. So
so exciting.
Sewing spaces.
Well, just a reminder that we've got some really fun things going on sewdaily.com right now. We have our Belford backpack sew along is live.
Yes.
And that's been a popular one. People are really liking that backpack. It's a great fall project. You can make it in so many different fabrics, so many creative opportunities there. And then also a reminder to just stay strong and keep watching Stitch Lab on Sew Daily Network on YouTube. Loving how this series is rolling out. Every episode is like, oh yeah, I forgot we talked about that. It was so much fun. So I feel like, and hopefully that comes across. I think it comes across, but those are launching every other week right after the new releases of the podcasts. So I feel like that's a good weekend thing. Just put it on in your sewing space and clean and reorganize and watch
and learn
that.
something.
And learn something. Absolutely. Have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's fun to watch they were fun to create and experiment with. So much fun.
They really were fun. Mm-hmm. In retrospect, I had a lot of fun.
In retrospect, right? Oh, well, yeah, there we go. Billy just settled down in a sunspot in my sewing machine. My sewing studio. I'm going to take
Amanda's
a picture
cat is blocking her camera right now.
Gus has decided this episode is done.
All right, Gus. Well, if Gus says so. All right, everybody. Have a great week and happy stitching.
Mm-hmm.
Happy stitching.
Go to the show notes to see my bunny picture. And we all post like a picture of our sewing studios? We should not have any studio shake. Come on.
No. Let me clean up first.
We'll see.
Yes, maybe the clean version. I'll try to get a picture of my sewing table, though. Okay. Probably not till after the con.
All right.
Fair enough.
Happy stitching.
For links to everything we talked about in this episode, go to our show notes page at sewdaily.com/sewandtell. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at sewandtellpodcast@goldenpeakmedia.com or visit us on Instagram at sewandtellpod. Answer the Sew and Tell question, tell us your SewJo, or just leave us some feedback. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe on your podcasting platform of choice, and please leave us a review, ideally a good one, because that helps listeners like you find our podcast. And tell your sewing friends about us too. Thanks for listening, and happy stitching. Sew and Tell is a Sew Daily podcast and produced by Golden Peak Media. It's hosted and produced by Meg Healy, Amanda Carestio, and me, Kate Zeinard. Daisha Clay is our producer. Director of podcasts is Jared Mayer. Tiffany Warble is Director of Content. Kelsey Ratterman handles our marketing, and Andrea Lotz does all things digital. If you'd like more information on sponsoring or advertising on Sew and Tell, go to goldenpeakmedia.com.